Welcome back, Alex. How you doing?
All right, doing great, doing great, doing great.
Wonderful, wonderful. We have a very special movie today. Something from the '80s, 1988 to be exact. Uh, a another, I don't know what should I call it? Action classic from the '80s. Do you agree?
Action classic. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Well, speaking of action, today we're talking about the movie Action Jackson, starring
Yes.
Carl Weathers. And this was Carl Weathers' really one big starring role, as like the action lead in a movie
Right.
that I
And
can
he was on
remember.
the
Am I
marquee.
correct about that? Yeah,
Yes. His name was on the marquee. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And this was like a big break for him. This he had played Apollo, and he was in Predator the year before,
Right.
but he hadn't had that marquee, his name over the title. So this was a big one for him.
Right.
So just to get right into it, Alex, you want to go into the cast of this movie?
Sure, sure, no problem. Man, we got, of course, the incredible, legendary Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers has done so much for Hollywood. We got iconic character Apollo Creed that kind of added. He added so much to the whole Rocky franchise in itself, man. Just wonderful, man. Did Predator, of course. Did Predator, one of our favorite movies. Did Predator. That was his character in Predator was outstanding. Uh, but this time, this is his film, and I shared a few interviews with you, and he was really ecstatic about the whole idea about him, having his own character, and he was hoping that he had it, that they would make a franchise out of it. So, and we just did Last Dragon, so we've got Denise Matthews, aka Vanity, coming back.
Yeah, the
I
beautiful Vanity. Yep.
absolutely wonderful, beautiful woman. She did a great job in this film, man. Very natural acting, and again, I shared a few interviews with you, and she admitted that she's pretty much acting natural because she had certain issues and a dark past that kind of added to uh, the character here that she was playing, and I think that she actually didn't have a problem playing this role. She took it as soon as it was offered to her. So, but she did a great job. We got Craig Nelson, who
Yeah.
plays Peter Delaplane, as the main villain in this film. Um, not, I looked at his filmography. I remembered him from Poltergeist,
Yeah.
but not too much else.
And he
But
was
he
he was
definitely,
coach, right? When he coached.
yeah, he played in Coach
Yeah.
too. Played Coach. But he played a really good villain in this film. I mean, it's almost
Yeah.
like the part was made for him. Very arrogant, smirky. Like
Right.
he was untouchable, Teflon man.
Right.
So, but he did a great job with the part that he played in here. Um, we also had Sharon Stone. I think
Yeah.
Sharon Stone's character, she played Delaplane's wife. Um, did a great job, very natural. Actually, her performance fit with the situation, what was going on and stuff. I was just surprised, with her arc. I thought that we were going to see a lot more of her.
No.
But it turns out that she was cut short early, and I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
that was a shock to me. You know,
Yeah. And I don't remember at the time how famous Sharon Stone was. Like for whatever reason, I can't remember like if she was like an A-list star at the time this movie came out because she gets off like about halfway through the movie. Not
right?
even maybe yeah, but maybe about halfway through the movie. So yeah, I can't remember if she was really big at the time. And another thing is like, that was her naked in the movie. It wasn't like some
Yeah,
stunt woman. Her and Vanity. There was no stunt boobs in this movie.
right.
Um, so
I
yeah,
think
that
she
was
was
just like,
comfortable. She was
yeah,
comfortable with being unclothed on screen. You figure
yeah,
she did Basic Instinct. She did Sliver.
yeah,
So I mean, it's just one of those things where she's just one of those actresses that just she's gonna give you
yeah,
100% regardless of what she
yeah,
got to do. So
yeah. She
yeah.
looked great. She looked great in the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. this was this film actually was funny because it's almost like it was a command, not a commander, but a Predator reunion. Because you had
Yeah,
Billy Duke. Bill Duke was in there. He played, I guess he was
Captain
the chief,
Armbuster.
or captain. Yeah,
Armbuster was
yeah,
Armbuster or Armbuster.
yeah. He's got a thing where they always put him in these I guess these commanding roles in
Yeah,
police movies or detective films and stuff like that. He's
yeah,
always the chief or the lieutenant or the lead detective or something like that. So, but he fits
yeah,
it. He fits it great. I
yeah.
mean, he
It's
played his
perfect. Yeah.
part great. So,
Yeah, he's got that his eyes are always kind of not droopy, but that kind of like looking that judgmental look
yeah, yeah,
where yeah, it seems like I know what I'm talking about. Do you know what you're talking about?
yeah, yeah,
And
and I
yeah,
like that.
like you done messed up, right?
Yeah. And he was a really good counter to the screen presence that Carl Weathers had. So like when they had the quick talk in his office, and he was like, "I don't think you're listening to me, Sergeant." You know what I mean? He just stood up on him, and Carl's character was like, you know,
Yeah,
back
yeah,
down real quick. So I thought that
yeah,
was a really like he kind of like because of course Carl Weathers' character is one of like what you're saying. He's kind of like a damaged hero. He went through some
right,
things with Delaplane and he got demoted and stuff like that. So he still got that flame in him, man. But Bill Duke's character was like, nah, we're not having no more of that. Just kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
made him back off, which I thought was great. So, yeah, it's good to see
yeah.
Bill Duke again.
And Bill Duke wasn't a small dude, man. He was almost six
No,
five.
no, man. Like I said, the great counter for Carl Weathers, I would think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
absolutely. I wanted to mention Mr. Miner. Is it Bob Miner? Well, I can't
yeah,
remember his first
Bob
name.
Miner.
Yeah, I want to mention Bob Miner real quick as just a legend. One thing that I have to say is that when we talk about these movies, I end up learning a lot. These are movies I love. I've seen a million times, but I may have never gotten into like, well, who are the stunt people in these movies, or what's the story behind this person or that person.
Oh yeah,
And Bob Miner has an incredible story. The man's still alive to this day. If anybody's watching this, look him up. Look at what movies that he was in. But he's black stuntman when there weren't a lot of black stuntmen. And I want to say he was the first to be in the stunt person's union, if I
mm,
remember correctly, back in the '70s. He was the first black person. Um, but this guy's done a ton of movies. He was
yeah,
still doing stunt work in 2016. This guy's old as my dad, and he's a legend in the game. He's stunt doubled for a whole bunch of black actors. He's done stunt work, stunt coordination on a bunch of movies. National Treasure.
yeah,
Like it's incredible. He plays one of the goons in this movie.
yeah.
Um, but Bob Miner, he was a former champion bodybuilder in California. So this guy's been around the block. So I just want to put a little love on his name, man, and give him his
Absolutely,
flowers while he's still around.
absolutely.
I'm definitely gonna have to now go and look at his filmography
Yeah.
to see all the movies that he was in, and I didn't notice. You know what I'm saying? That yeah, I didn't know who he was. I knew this was the same guy that was in Commando, but I didn't
Right.
realize I didn't realize his story was this deep.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, I just want to, like I said, I just want to give him a little props. Next, Alex, let's see if we can decipher the plot of this movie. Because as many times as I know both of us have seen it, I don't think we ever put more than a half a thought into what Peter Delaplane's plan actually was.
Right.
Why do you want to kill Foss? Controlling the union's not going to help your company that much.
Right.
Because he has a scene, one of those scenes that bad guys in '80s movies always had, where they explain the entire plot of their nefarious plan to the hero.
Yeah.
That happens in this movie, and I swear it still went over my head. Like I still didn't know what was going on.
Same here, man. Same here. It's like
I don't,
almost like that
go ahead.
that Bond trope where like the villain, like Goldfinger or Mr. Doctor No or whatnot, explains to Bond what he's going to do before he tries to smoke him. But yeah, this
Yeah,
this one here is just weird. From what I gather, uh, Delaplane kind of has his own race car company or auto company,
hmm
and he's in a union, or he's trying to manipulate the union for political gain.
yeah,
So in the beginning of the film, you see kind of opened up where you've got some, I guess maybe auto people or auto supervisors for auto company, and they might have political affiliates or whatnot, and they get taken out um, by Delaplane's team. He's got this team of elite operatives called the Invisible Men. They've got a reputation for being able to appear and disappear,
Yeah.
like ninjas. So in the beginning, he's systematically taken out, key individuals within the union, or have union power to, I guess, to boost his position so that he can manipulate the political system to, I guess, to so that they can elect who he wants, or who the people that are
Right.
affiliated with him want to be in offices, various
Right.
offices in the government. And that's pretty much what
He
I
wants to
got.
be a he wants to be a kingmaker.
Right. And that's exactly, he did say that. He wanted to be a kingmaker. He didn't want to be a king. He wanted to be a
He want to
kingmaker.
be a kingmaker.
The
Yeah.
guy behind the scenes.
Right. So and rewatching this and doing the background work on it, I finally figured out what the hell his plan was, because,
Yeah.
like I said, as many times I've seen this movie, I was like, what is he doing? What does he actually want? And I guess I've
Right.
never actually just paid that much attention to what he was saying.
Same here. The action starts, man. I'm sitting down like, all
Yeah.
right, I want to see Jackson kick some ass.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And I think like overkill is the theme of this movie, because from the very beginning, like, dudes just get blown away, like literally blown away. This dude's just shot out of a building, he's on fire or whatever. Yeah, later on, a dude gets hit with a grenade. Overkill is the theme of this movie.
Right.
Like,
Right.
just
I
doing
agree
too
with you
much.
100%.
They could have smoked that dude any way they wanted. They had to, blast him out of a window
Yeah.
in a skyscraper.
Yeah. That was a great
Yeah,
scene, though, man. That was a great scene
it
right
was.
there.
Yeah, especially as an opening. As an
Yeah.
opening, that's how you open an action movie. That's how you open it. I don't care if it's a good action movie, a great action movie, or just a cheesy action movie. You, it's something you can watch when at the beginning of the movie somebody gets blown out of a window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, his girlfriend, his side chick or whatever, gets smoked, and then he gets blown out of a window.
She was first to go down. I was just like,
Right.
Jesus, man. Yeah.
And she was an established actress. I forgot her name, but she was an established actress. She died in the first scene of the movie.
Right. Right. I've seen her on TV and a few films as
Yeah,
well. Yeah. I can't remember her name either at the time.
yeah,
But yeah, that beginning kind of gave you kind of like an idea of what the hero was going to be up against. Because again, those guys were like ninjas to me. Appear, disappear.
yeah.
The guy was shooting all in the office and stuff like that. You're trying to figure out where these guys are. They just came through the window, like a squad, and then poof, they're gone. And he's
Right,
shooting at nothing. I'm like, the hell is this?
right. They
You know,
reminded me
so
of the chins. I think it was the chins in Sharky's Machine.
right, right. I was gonna make a
Yeah.
reference to Sharky's Machine too. Yeah, definitely,
If you haven't
definitely.
seen Sharky's Machine, we talked about that. Go watch that video.
Go watch the video. Exactly.
Yeah, great movie.
Yep.
So what I want to get into next, real quick, is who's besides Jackson, and honestly, I want to say besides Vanity, but you can say
No, you
Vanity if
good.
you
You
want.
good.
Who's your favorite character in this movie?
I like Bill Duke's character, but we didn't really see
Yeah,
a lot of him. Um, but
screen time. I'm
from
gonna tell you, like, screen time is not an issue. So
right,
whoever you want.
when he went to the hood and tried to get him and Vanity's character, I think her name was Sydney, right?
Yeah,
Try to get him some kind of a place to lay low at. He ran into an old buddy who was Fats Williams. I hadn't seen Fats Williams in a long
yeah,
time. He's got that iconic voice. I think he's done some
that
voice
voice,
acting in different things too. But I think his name was Kid Sable in the film,
Kid
and it was
Sable. Yep.
it was good to see him again. I hadn't seen him in a
Yeah,
while, and then from that point, he kind of stayed with the film all the way till the end. He popped up and helped them out
yeah,
a few times and stuff. So I thought that was real cool. But yeah, I'd say that he was one of my favorite characters to see him again. And your boy Sonny from Predator, man, being the heroin
yeah.
dealer, that had me dying laughing because I was like, this might as well be a Predator reunion, man. And
Right.
of course he just did his intense scene, and just like he always does. I think he likes those
Yeah.
types of parts, man. You know, he's got
Yeah.
to be some
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
goon or somebody that's grabbing somebody by the neck. You know,
Yeah. It just seems
great
it
fight
seems
scene.
more fun, you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
Great fight scene, yeah.
great
Yeah.
fight scene there,
And
man.
like you say,
So
overkill again, don't just throw
yeah,
them out of a window. You throw them from one window
into the
across an
other.
alley into another window.
Exactly, exactly, man.
That's how you do it.
So
Oh man.
yeah, so
All right, so I'm gonna give you my like you said, Kid Sable. He was a great character. He was a great
yeah,
character. But I kind of have two. I'm gonna tell you which one's my pick.
okay,
But real quick, the kid you see like around at the beginning, he's like a purse snatcher,
right, right. Got to keep fainting.
and right, they're telling him all these like horror stories about Jackson when they got him in the patrol car, and he's like, "Huh? What? Really? Yeah, you let him out of his cage to feed him and all. It just hyping him up, man.
Right,
Action Jackson might as well be 14 feet tall, 900 pounds. That's what this kid's thinking.
right,
And they
right,
get to the station, and he runs into him. He tries to escape. He runs into Jackson and passes out. But what's funny is that he keeps coming up.
right.
He keeps
Keep
showing
showing
up
up.
in the movie, and you think like, oh, this joke's going to keep going. But Jackson actually uses him later.
Right, right in the end, yeah, at the
Right,
party.
and right, the kid kind of has an arc. He doesn't have he's not a big character role, but he kind of has an arc where he actually does something good for once. At the
Right,
end of the movie.
right, by
Um,
helping him out.
even when Kid Sable sent him up to bring breakfast, and he's like holding the tray, he's like shaking.
Shaking, yeah, I thought that was funny too.
uh, so I like that kid, man. I didn't even write his name down, but I'm gonna tell you my favorite character other than the main characters, and she
Mhm.
only has one scene. The lady that plays D in the
Oh yeah,
barbershop.
yeah. I'm trying to think of
Whatever.
her
I don't
name.
know what.
Um,
I had it.
Armella McQueen, I think her name is.
I think so.
Armella McQueen, I think, if I'm pronouncing it
Armilla
right.
McQueen. Yep,
Right.
exactly, exactly. She had a long career. I just, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the sound of her voice or the way that she talked, like
Delaplane financed Catelli's demise, and the untimely.
that was just one of the most captivating scenes to me. I don't know why,
Oh yeah,
but like I
it
just
was.
love that scene in the barbershop because of how she talks. She's got the cigarette and she's explaining things. She's giving exposition.
Right,
Basically, it's a clever way to give exposition in a movie. So
right.
you go see the person that knows everything trope, in these movies,
Yeah,
and they break down a whole bunch of stuff that the movie doesn't have time to explain.
right, right,
With in scene. So you get somebody who the scooper, and they break down a whole bunch of plot points in the movie without you having to have all these extra scenes.
right. To speed things up. Yep, yep.
Right. And for whatever reason, man, I just love that scene. Rewatching the movie for this review, I paused it to look her up because I was like, "Who is this woman?" I don't remember ever
Yeah,
seeing her in anything, but she has been in a bunch of movies, and television. But for whatever reason, I just didn't recognize her face.
yeah.
And then
She
when I
did.
looked, I'm like, "Man, she was in a lot."
Yeah, she did Ghost. I don't
Yeah,
remember her in Ghost, but she did Ghost. She was in the movie Life with
yeah.
Martin Lawrence and
And I
Eddie
and I couldn't
Murphy.
remember like what scene. I was like, "What scene was she in Life?" Because I love Life.
Yeah, I got to go back and take a look myself. But she was in
Yeah,
Living Single, and she did a few episodes of Martin as well. So she's
yeah,
definitely been on TV, man. Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was my pick, man. I loved her in the movie
yeah,
and
she was
the
on point.
kid.
She was on point.
Yeah,
Her delivery of her lines were flawless, man.
yeah,
Did exactly what we needed at the time.
right. So let me ask you this question: what's your favorite line or scene from the movie?
To be honest with you, I think that the whole Papa Doc thing was kind of like it was not necessary,
Right.
but
It
I guess
wasn't.
we got to see Action Jackson do his thing, right? So that was
Yeah.
just giving more reason to give him more people to beat up. But
Right.
I kind of like the Papa Doc thing, and to look at the guy in the bar, I could have sworn that was show enough, man. I mean, I'm just saying. I was like, this can't be my man
Right.
from
Julius Carey.
yeah. I was like, nah, it can't be. And I looked up and it wasn't, what I'm saying. But he
Yeah.
looked so much like him, you know.
Yeah.
But that whole thing with the balls in the jar type thing, man, I was just like, what the
Yeah.
hell? Like, why are we doing this? Okay, well, cool, beat him up, But
Right.
I thought that
Right.
that whole thing, that whole scene, I think the guy, I forgot the main guy that was talking so much, Miguel. I can't remember his last name.
Miguel
Yeah,
Nunez.
yeah,
Yeah.
he delivered his
Horror
stuff.
movie icon.
Right, right. He was from Return of the Living Dead, and
Yep.
again,
Friday the
it was
13th, part five.
yeah,
Or part
yeah.
five, part three. Part three? Part five.
No, I think it was part five because I think he's the one that got killed in the outhouse. Because
Yeah,
he
because
had
he was singing, because he was talking, he ate a burrito.
yeah, yeah, and he was in there
Yeah.
singing to the girl, and then yeah, and then he
Yeah.
get skewered through the outside
Yeah.
through the damn place. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that whole thing with the bar scene was extra. But again, I know why they had it in there because without
Yeah.
that, you didn't really see a lot of action from Jackson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Plot wise, what was going on, just it didn't really fit. Like it
no,
would have fit if they didn't, if Vanny didn't come in there and say that he was just crazy, and they were like, "Yo, he's crazy," and they were about to like kind of let him go. It seemed
hmm
like y'all were about to cut his balls off a second ago.
right.
It just like this doesn't really make sense. Like it
Yeah,
would make more sense if he just went in there and just started wrecking dudes.
yeah, yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Trying to get information.
right?
Yeah,
So
and then
anyway, it's
the
still a great
counter to
scene.
that was weird again because all he had to do was go see D, and it's just like, so why did we do this? Why did we do this whole
Right,
scene?
and then Kid Sable even mentions back at the hotel. He says, "Oh, I could have told you his balls was in a jar in a pool hall."
hmm
Time the man is dead. His balls in a jar at his pool house. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
it
so that
just
whole
kind
scene
of
was
had me
unnecessary.
right.
um,
Right. How about you?
for me, it's it's the scene where Jackson, they've got him like tied up with the chains or whatever. Of course, it took us. I feel like let me back up real quick. I feel like they needed a reason to take Jackson's shirt off in this movie.
Oh yeah, of course.
Even though when you see it at first you're like, why is his shirt off? Like why
hmm
is his pants on? They got his shirt off. But then they give you like an actual plot reason why the shirt is gone. I'm like, okay, well y'all made up for it. The
Right.
guy took his shirt so he could disguise himself as Jackson. All right, whatever. I felt like they wanted a reason to like grease up Carl Weathers and have his shirt
Have
off,
a
but
flexing.
yeah,
Right.
they gave a plot reason for it. So all right, I forgive you for that one. But anyway, right after that scene, the Vanity's bodyguard, comes down to help, and he escapes, and they're fighting all the goons,
Right.
and he gets that 40 millimeter grenade launcher.
Yeah. The 40 Mike. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got the one dude that on the side of the building, and he said, "How do you like your ribs?"
How do you like your ribs?
Blah! Hey,
Another
that
flaming
to this
body.
day, overkill,
Yes.
complete overkill. Like, first of all, them 40 millimeter grenades, they go off, but
Oh yeah.
it ain't that much fire in the world. You know what I'm saying? But
No, no, that was extra.
still, it makes an incredible scene. It makes an incredible scene,
It does.
and I
It
love.
does.
He's like, "How do you like your ribs?" Like, bro, come on. Like
Yeah.
that's to me that's the best one liner in the movie.
Right. Right. How you like your ribs? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think if you think about this film, right, it's going to be the part that comes to most people's minds when the dude gets blown up with the grenade.
Right, right.
Right? They even advertise that.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's the perfect action scene. It just is. It's the perfect one liner in an action scene. So one thing I forgot, because I watched it fairly recently, but I kind of forgot like the number of little like silly moments in the movie.
Yeah. There's a few.
And, yeah, and like one scene where he's in the police station and Bill Duke is looking for him, and he jets out of there, and the
Yeah.
camera turns back to the cop he was talking to, and he had like a piece of paper in his hand. It's like floating
It just
down like
floats
this, like
down, right?
it was like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Like he just bounced and like paper's floating down, and then the cop looks at the camera, and I'm like, what? This doesn't fit here.
Right.
This isn't
Right.
this kind of movie. This isn't like Naked Gun or some shit like that. This is like
Yeah.
kind of a serious movie, and like you can throw humor in, but not that kind of humor.
Right, right. It's almost like you're trying to mix two types
Yeah,
of films together. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But that's actually a tie for what I think might be just as silly. And this isn't like silly on purpose.
Mhm.
It's just silly because it don't make sense. At the
Right.
end, when they're at the party and Jackson gets that Ferrari or whatever the sports car is, drives it into the house, and then
Yep.
drives it up the stairs, and then drives it down the hallway. I'm like, yo, hold on. I
Yeah.
know for a fact I just saw two right angles in this stairway.
Right. Right. What are you doing
And
here?
I
Yep.
don't know, right. And I don't know who the hell has a stairway that's 10 feet wide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's over the top.
Yeah,
And
that
and
was way over.
that car, like you look at the commercials, the Delaplane company and the commercials and stuff like that. I thought that it was more of like a Ferrari company,
Right.
and that car in particular was a Pontiac Fiero.
Oh,
It
what?
was the
Yeah, yeah,
souped up version. And Fieros are kind of small two
yeah,
seaters and they're narrow. So I could see him being able to kind of do that in a way,
yeah.
but that's not the type of car that Delaplane was advertising on the commercials, I thought. So it just
Right.
kind of it was
Yeah,
weird for me. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, man, you ain't getting around in right angles in a car
Nah.
on no staircase. And I don't even know how the thing got up the staircase to begin with. The thing was only like 5 inches from the ground.
Right.
Whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Hollywood.
it still led to a great fight scene. Whatever. Yeah,
Yep.
Hollywood. But that whole scene at the party, I like. You know, the plan was to have Bob Miner, one of the goons, dress up as Jackson
Right.
and assassinate one of the was it union reps or whatever.
No, actually, I think
Assassinate that.
that was the guy that he might have owned his own uh auto company. I know he was a
Oh,
big wig. I know he was a big
yeah,
wig.
yeah. So they're gonna have him assassinate the guy dressed as Jackson, so
Hmm.
they could blame Jackson, but whatever. Of course, that didn't work out.
No, no. Yeah, and they already had
Um,
Jackson framed for the wife for killing Delaplane's wife as well. So Jackson
right.
was on the run.
Yeah.
So they were just trying to stack stuff, and I was just like, oh, okay,
Yeah. Because
yeah,
yeah, Sharon Stone. When he kills Sharon Stone, he does that cold. He does that cold as shit, man.
yeah,
Once he realizes that she's been talking to Jackson, he kills her, and then he lays on the bed. Man, he pulls out a cigarette, talks to his
yeah,
goons, act like nothing, just like nothing happened at all. This dude's a
yeah.
psychopath.
Yeah, he had issues. Delaplane has some issues, man. Anytime you're gonna kill
Yeah,
your own wife, and I think her character was with him at the lowest part of his life, from
yeah,
what Carl Weathers' character was saying. So
yeah.
for him to be able to do that really shows that he's really kind of cold hearted, man.
I was gonna say this dude's wife is Sharon Stone, and his side chick is Vanity. Like this dude's
Yeah.
living an amazing life. And he was
Right.
he's keeping Vanity, on drugs every time whenever they meet up. He's keeping her drugged up. So she's a junkie in this movie, but and that's a whole separate thing about her being a junkie.
Right.
But you know, one thing Jackson has like morally is he's not going to take advantage of her because she's a junkie. He has an issue with junkies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wants her to clean herself up. She accuses him of being gay. She's like, "What is
Yeah.
wrong with you? I'm
It's
fine, woman
hilarious.
like me. You don't touch me all night."
Fine looking woman like me, you don't even touch me all night? You either gotta be queer or a cop.
That
Uh,
whole scenario was
yeah,
hilarious to me. I was cracking
yeah,
up. He's talking trash
yeah.
the whole time.
But yeah, yeah, she was talking
What
trash.
are
She was
you, a
bad,
priest?
right? Yeah, action.
Yeah.
I ain't seen none of that.
Yep. Yep. Hilarious, man.
Yeah, but by the end, he was ready though.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
You can't be in that kind of proximity with Vanity and not be.
Nah, nah,
Um,
yeah.
so your favorite kill? I kind of actually went over mine already,
Right. With
but what was your
how you like
favorite
your ribs.
kill? Yeah,
Yeah, I told you the Sharon Stone death. I think her name was Patricia
I think so.
Delaplane. Yeah, that was a shocker for me because in the beginning I didn't think that he was going to do that to his own wife, and the way, like you said, the way he killed her was like he didn't lose any sleep over it. So as far as
Right.
shock factor, that kind of like had me like, damn, you're a piece of shit, bro.
Yeah. Tough money, bro.
Yeah. So I'd say that yeah, that for to be the smoothest kill, I'd say that was my favorite
Yeah.
when he shot Sharon Stone's character.
All right. All right. So let me get your one to 10 80s action movie. Where do you put this?
1 to 10, I think I'd put Action Jackson at an eight. At an eight, it definitely um, it stayed with me through the years. I've always remembered it. Even from the beginning, like I know we talked about Sharky's Machine having like the one of those great entrances, openings, and to me
Yeah.
this was great too because you had the Pointer Sisters had a decent song. I think the name was called "He Turned Me Out."
Yeah.
But during that time period, Pointer Sisters were making opening songs for different. I think they did. Didn't they do by Beverly Hills Cop too?
Ooh, was that Pointer Sisters?
I think it was Pointer Sisters or
It
Sister
may have
Sledge.
been.
I can't remember. But yeah, they've sung some really good openers for films.
Yeah.
So yeah, all around classic uh, action film.
Yeah.
My only complaint though, and again, this is an '80s thing, I guess. When these guys, these villains, these A-list villains, they got some trash help, man. I'm sorry to tell
Yeah.
you, man. I guess I know
Goons are
it.
terrible.
It has to. You got to have cannon fodder for the hero to go through. But come on, man. You got all of this money and you hiring bums. Like, come on, man.
Right. Right.
You guys
Like
are
how
just
how are you the most how are you the most skilled, powerful fighter of all your goons? That
right.
don't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously, flexing with
You
it
gotta
too.
hire
I'm like,
dudes that's better than you. It don't make no sense.
yeah. That's my only complaint. Like,
Yeah.
I get it's an '80s thing. You got to have these guys out of here so that the hero can beat them up. But I'm
Right.
like, reality wise, you're not gonna hire people like
Yeah.
that. You're gonna hire
Yeah.
A-list people that can have your back.
Right.
So
Right. I think for me, I probably put it at like 7.5 maybe, and only because it's a memorable movie for me. I love this movie,
yeah,
but only because there's aspects of it that just aren't necessary or things that could have been fleshed out better. Like you said, the plot
right,
could have been fleshed out a little better. Some of the silly parts of it didn't need to be there.
right,
Um, the fact that Jackson has like a Harvard law degree
yeah,
isn't really necessary to this story. It just certain things just aren't really necessary, and it kind of holds it back just a little bit.
yeah,
It's still a movie I'll watch anytime.
right,
You know, I've seen worse movies that I watch just as much. So
yeah,
yeah, I probably put like a solid 7 for like 80s action flicks. Especially
okay,
since the stars of Brother, we get a whole lot of those anyway. So
yeah, yeah, right, right,
yeah, so
exactly.
get a bonus point for that. But that's Action Jackson, y'all. 1988 classic. Didn't do a whole lot of business at the box office. It did okay. It made I think 4 times its budget.
Yeah, like
But
65
didn't
mil. I think they grossed
yeah
65 million.
didn't get picked up for a sequel
Right,
for whatever reason. Um, could have been a vehicle for Carl Weathers and Vanity.
right,
Honestly. But yeah, it didn't happen. Things like that happen in Hollywood, so we don't always get what we want.
right.
But yeah, anybody that's watching this, check out Action Jackson. Check out Carl Weathers' filmography. Look
Please
up
do.
Vanity. We just talked about Vanity and The Last Dragon, so you can watch that video. Any parting words about Action Jackson, Alex?
Nah, just if you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to check it out and again look at Carl Weathers' filmography. The guy's he's been working hard, and he's just one of those actors that I think he doesn't get enough credit for the stuff that he does, especially with the Rocky series. And he deserves a lot more love. So yeah, show
Yeah,
him some love.
absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, y'all. It's Action Jackson. Check it out. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all next time.
See you next time. Peace.